I think we might be able to finish up our June Cuties today. Should we give it a try? Hey everyone, Cristin here, and our June Cuties is so darn cute. So our backing fabric is, mine is a green silky solid fabric. Some may get the green petal fabric, some may get another fabric, it doesn't matter at all. But for our backing, we want it to be 24 by 24 for our backing. And I actually don't even cut it, I don't measure it. I just put my topping, the top of our project, I put it on top of the backing, and I make sure that there's at least an inch around, and then I start my stitch in the ditch, and then I cut afterwards. That's what I do. You can certainly use 24 by 24 again though, just in case it's not quite enough, because the stitching may pull in just a bit. So I just do it. I lay it down. I lay out my fabric after I'm going to iron it, obviously, because it's going to have some creases in it. So I iron it, and then I lay the completed top on top of the backing fabric, and I'll show photos and the whole process at that point. But for our backing fabric, you want at least 24 by 24. And like I said, mine's a green silky solid. Yours may be something different, and that's totally fine. Hey everyone, so it is time to do our stitch in the ditch. So I have laid my project on top of my backing fabric. Mine is a silky solid. If you have a patterned fabric, then you would put it right side down and put your project on the top of that right side up. All right, so that the back would have your fabric, the right side of your fabric. All right, and then stitch in the ditch, we are going to use a couple of things I wanted to point out. So I am going to use the invisible thread. So invisible thread, some people don't like to stitch in the ditch because they're so worried that you're going to see your stitches. Use invisible thread. I'm telling you, it works. It's great. My stitches are never perfect, and I don't worry about perfection. I use my invisible thread. So there's several invisible threads on the market. My personal favorites are Sulky and Gutermann. All right, those are the two that I prefer the most. I use those, and I will add a link under the video for each of these. They're both very easy to get on Amazon. The other thing is for your stitching, like I said, I use the invisible thread for the top. For the bottom, in your bobbin, you could use a thread color that is going to match your back fabric. Totally up to you. It's the back. It doesn't matter. If you want to use white, your regular white bobbin thread, go right ahead. No problem. I think I will use a bobbin thread that matches for this time. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's not a big deal. The other thing is pinning. All right, so you can see that I pin every block, the borders, the whole bit. I didn't do my inner borders this time, but I'll make sure to go around those. So I use the pins not only to keep it straight on the back, you want it as straight as possible on the back, but it also tells me what blocks I've done, because after I finish an area, I take out those pins. Now, when I first started doing this, I bought colored pins just because they were pretty, and there were some pink ones. They were junk. I had to throw them in the trash. You want sharp pins, and curved pins make life so much easier. So I will add a link here for the pins that I suggest. I think it's Dritz, if I recall. I'm not sure, but I will add the link. They are super sharp, and they are curved and so easy to use. So this is what I recommend. I have two different sizes. I have the bigger size and the littler size. I think I used these little ones on the corner blocks, if I recall. Yep, I did. So those are the pins that I recommend. I get them from Amazon. Very easy to use. Don't buy pretty pins. Believe me, it's a waste. Learn from my mistake. I had to throw all of those away. They were not sharp at all, and I couldn't get through the layers. So we're going through multiple layers of fabric, and you want them as sharp as you can. And what I do is I pin them not through an applique. I just do it in an area that isn't going to be bothered by the stitching. Like my needle's not going to get in the way of these pins. So that's what I do. So it is time to start stitching in the stitch. I use my Move It foot. I think it's called, mine's a Brother Move It foot. I don't remember what it's called for other brands, but a walking foot, that's probably what it's called. And then I bought the little foot part that is for stitch in the ditch. That was exciting. Somebody recommended that I get that, and I did. Based from your donations, I was able to go and buy this foot for myself, and this will be my first time using it. I'm pretty excited. So it clamps right onto my Move It foot. So I'm excited to give that a try. So let's get started doing our stitch in the ditch. And then we just have our binding. Oh my gosh. Well, we have our binding and we also have those buttons. So I'll go over that. So for our binding fabric, I mentioned in the prep video, I would not recommend stabilizing it. It's easier to make those mitered corners if you do not stabilize your fabric. So our binding fabric is that green petal fabric. Isn't that pretty? I love this. I think that's going to be so pretty. And we used it for our inner borders as well. This is a really pretty fabric. I like this one. So our binding, is 2 pieces, 2 strips that are 2.5 by width of fabric, and then 1 strip that is 2.5 by 20. So what I always do, I just cut 3 of them at width of fabric. That's what I always do. It's just easier, and then you've got some extra at the end. But if you're trying to save fabric, then the directions say 2.5 times width of fabric for 2 of the strips, and 1 of them 2.5 by 20. I just cut 3 of them to width of fabric so that it's easier, because when I did the prep video, I mentioned that I saved the part, I cut off the part for the binding, and then the rest I stabilized, because the rest was for the inner borders. So I just found it easier to just cut 3 of them at width of fabric, and there was enough to do that. So whatever works for you, but that's our binding fabric, and I'll show you how to do that at the end. And then the last bit is our little buttons. 4 little buttons for the tops of our ice cream cones. So I'm going to add that on after it's all done. Some people like to add it on before they add their backing on so that you don't have the little tie marks at the back of the project. I don't mind that, and I don't want to have them get in the way while I'm stitching in the ditch. So my recommendation is definitely not to add the buttons on, but you do you, whatever works for you. But I'm going to add the embellishments, those 4 buttons at the end as the last step. And I will add photos of everything as we work on it. So this is going to be a big day. We've got the outer borders, the corner blocks, the backing, stitch in the ditch, and the binding, and then adding on those 4 buttons. And it's kind of a lot for today, so if you need to break it up into 2 days, that's totally fine, but share photos when you're done. Don't forget to tell me how you're doing with your goal, or at least add a photo of you eating ice cream. That makes me happy. It's fun since this is our ice cream tabletopper. But I did not get a workout yet today, probably won't today, but I need one more iFit because remember I told you that they're doing this, iFit is doing this 4-week challenge, and it's the last week and I already did one of them. You have to do 2 within the week, so I have one more that I have to do. So hopefully I can fit that in to finish off the whole month. But I don't remember. Oh, it's Ashley Paulson is the last one, and she is just the cutest trainer. She's got bright pink hair. I don't know if you ever saw me with pink hair. I used to have pink hair for several years, lots of hair just on the bottom part. But anyway, Ashley Paulson, that will be a good workout. She is strong. So how are you doing with your goal? Make sure to share photos. I want to hear about it. And my shirt today is So Happy. This is perfect. I should wear this for our So Happy quilt that we're working on, the Oh So Delightful. This was a gift from my girlfriend's quilt shop, and it's a great shirt. I don't know if they still have them. I saw them advertising a couple of different shirts just recently on their Facebook group page. So they do have shirts available. You should check out their website.